Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Hello and welcome to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where two sisters talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm Brooke Brigham, I'm the attorney.
And I'm Tess Brigham, I'm the therapist.
And we are here today to talk about, and just like that, Season 2, Episode 8.
Yes.
What was the name of this episode?
100 years ago.
100 years ago, right. So, this is... was when we last left the gals. Carrie and Aidan were
making out
on front of her brownstone in the street. And this we open up with them in bed together.
Yes. So what did you think of the episode? Let's start there.
So I loved this episode.
I loved it too.
It was really good.
I think it was the best episode of this season, of last season, of all of it. It made me so happy. I was so nervous. My biggest fear was especially when the episode started and I saw how happy they were. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh God, the whole episode, I was just like, oh God, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen.
Because
God, they're going to hurt Aidan again. Don't hurt Aidan again.
Our prediction was, and it still could be true, but it's looking positive. Our prediction was, they're not going to get back together.
Yeah.
He's going to come on for a couple episodes and Carrie's going to realize why she, didn't work out between them. And now it's the exact opposite.
Well, I thought that there's no way that they could bring this guy back and then have her break his heart one more time. It just seemed painful. So I thought the realization was going to be that somewhat of what happened at the end of the last episode was that he would realize, this is all too much. This is all too much. You've broken my heart too many times. I got to go. That he would be the one to just walk away. Mm-hmm. And that what would happen is they'd get back together. It would all be too much for him. And he would say, I can't do this, or this was great, but bye.
Yeah.
And when I saw them together again and how happy she was, and I love the episode because it brought up and what made Sex and the City so interesting and so fun to watch. And we talked about this last time as well. And what I think the best episodes of this show really are the ones that ask these big questions, like, what
was big a big mistake.
Yeah. And these questions of regret, when, and this comes up a lot for me with my clients and regrets. Mm-hmm. And I tend to be one of those people that is a big believer in everything happens for a reason. You have to go through whatever it is. And that it's very hard to go through life with, thinking and constantly going back and like regretting things and what ifs and all of that. I think we have to believe that things happen for a reason. We have to believe that we go through hard things. You've been through hard things. I've been through hard things. We've all been through hard things in our lives. And if you stay in this place of why me, why did this happen to me, and or why did I make that choice? It's just too hard. But I loved, and I listened to the podcast.
Of course.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay, Tess.
I admitted it. I admit it. So I didn't finish it though, but I did listen to the writers talk about how the two female writers talked about how this is a conversation that they have a lot together about regrets and allowing each other to just talk about it and sit with it. And
because I tend to do that. I have a lot of regrets, and I wish I would have made different decisions, and I think that's okay. And I kind of I don't want someone to tell me everything happens for a reason. Sorry, I think that's how you learn. If you're able to look at yourself and say, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have, then, next time you're in that position, maybe you'll stop and think about it before you do something.
No, and you're right, because the other part of, because I work with young adults, and I think a lot of times, and I'll tell this to my clients, they'll say to me sometimes, oh God, you're so smart, you're so brilliant and all this. And I say to them, not so much. It's got sometimes what you meet other people, you meet older people and you think, oh my God, they're so wise. And I said, a lot of times it's not wisdom, it's just lived experiences. It's just that you've been through this thing so many times, you just know it so well, or you just know what to do. And you're absolutely right that yes, you make certain mistakes over and over again, and you just get smarter about them and you make better choices as you go. But yes, there are these big, giant things that happen to us, and we make decisions and really bad decisions. And it's just like, oh my God, why didn't I go to Europe in my 20s more? Those big things, which is my big regret, which is why didn't I travel more in my 20s,
Yeah. And we've talked before about how, up until this episode, Carrie has been, I mean, obviously the part of it is because of grief, but she's just been a real downer. And now all of a sudden she's like a different person, and she is so happy being with Aidan. She is lighter. Her character is completely different, even different than the Sex and the City. She just has, because of all that she's been through, she now can really see Aidan see all the good qualities in him, see him for what he really is. Because before, she was so preoccupied with the fact that Aidan wasn't big. Yeah. She wanted big. She always did. And the fact that Aidan wasn't big annoyed her. Remember how she used to get so annoyed with him? Yeah. About every little thing, it seemed like. And
because he was too nice. Yeah. He wasn't treating her like
he was not a challenge. Yeah. There was no challenge. Yeah. There was no and big was a super challenge. Yes. And when she said that line to Miranda, that was a big mistake, I thought, yes. And I noticed too that they're back to calling him Big, where before they were saying John. So John is the guy at the end, maybe, but Big is the guy who she fucking chased all those years. Yeah.
He was he was kind of the ghost. I mean, he was the, what's the word for it? He was this larger than life persona, because we never knew his name. Yeah. Mr. Big. And it is a really interesting idea or question. And I think it's that question that we all have, because Carrie's actually is in this position right now where she's getting this opportunity to go down the road not traveled. You don't very often ever get to go down.
She's getting a do-over. Yeah, basically.
She's getting this opportunity to go down this road that she's never been. Most people don't get this, and that's amazing and wonderful.
Now, with the caveat that this is just one episode. Yes, and next week when she goes off to his farmhouse in Virginia to meet his kids, it could be a total disaster.
Yes. Well, we're seeing next week she's meeting his ex-wife.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, obviously this can't be all,
perfect
and butterflies and rainbows. That there needs to be some kind of drama to this, but I was just like, oh God, it's finally all happening. It's happening. Oh my Lord.
So they've been holed up in this hotel for a week having sex.
Yes. Eating $26 omelets, but they're both rich. So what do they care?
Service. So,
and then the best is, they then have this lunch with Charlotte and Miranda. And I love how Charlotte and Seema and Charlotte's just
beside herself.
Oh, she's beside herself with excitement. And that's, I felt at that lunch, I was like, God, I felt a little Charlotte and a little Miranda.
Yeah.
Like I felt so excited, but at the same time, I was so I was like Miranda, like, oh God.
Oh yeah. No, Carrie's just giddy. Charlotte's giddy. And Seema is cold.
Yes.
She's sort of, she doesn't, because Carrie is saying, we want to take you guys out to dinner next time he's here. We are going to do this. We're going to do that. Mm-hmm. And
you could see already, I already had a sense there. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a problem. And understandably for Seema, because that Seema Carrie represented for Seema
a single friend.
Yeah. I had also forgotten about the Hamptons until she brought it up, but that was a big plot point as well. And then after that lunch, Carrie and Miranda are walking down the street. And did you notice that Carrie wasn't in her outfit? So interesting. She's stylish, but she's not wearing heels. And I do think this is really interesting about this series, is that she's not wearing heels as much anymore. It's not so much about the shoes. And I was reading this article in Vulture, and just very quickly, by Tom Smith, One Weird Trick to Tolerating and Just Like That. And so what he was talking about was that, but to view and judge and Just Like That as a direct continuation of the original Sex and the City isn't just unfair, it's incorrect. It's important to remember that in the arc of this franchise, and Just Like That is actually the direct follow-up to 2010's Sex and the City 2. And by viewing it through that lens, we can see that everything outrageous about the show suddenly makes much more sense. I just thought it was very interesting the way he talked, what he was talking about was that I think, and that helped, it helped me.
Well, explain that to me. I don't understand.
So the way he talked about how, I think we keep looking at and Just Like That as this continuation of in Sex and the City. And what he was talking about is that you have to think about this show as a continuation of the last movie. That the movies, this was very much about these last movies, that the style of it, because the movies didn't have the voiceovers. I think the first movie had the voiceovers, maybe a little bit of it, but not so much. But that voiceovers are gone, that the way in which you're thinking about the characters are gone, the evolution of things are gone. And just seeing Carrie walking down the street without the heels, like this evolution of who she is and these characters and how they relate to each other. I was like, okay, I can see that. It's in Vulture, which I love. I read it all the time. I mean, it's a long article. While the world of Sex and the City has long been a glitzy fantasy version of New York, the franchise leaned into the fantasy more and more over time. The things became crazier and crazier. Let's see. It's a really long article. I don't want to get into it. But
well, I noticed with Carrie's wardrobe, her wardrobe is so different. Like she looks her overall look, you can tell, she looks, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I can't even remember what she's wearing. Like, she looks good and put together, but you can't remember the outfit.
Yes.
It's very kind of nondescript. She's sort of going into this, Eileen Fisher, older woman type look.
Yeah, because you would definitely remember those. Yeah. You remembered the outfits.
Yeah.
I
can't remember a single thing she wore, except maybe when she went to that party and she met Gloria Steinem and when she puts on like a fancy dress or something, but like the day-to-day looks, I can't remember.
No.
And she isn't wearing the Manolo Blahniks anymore.
Well, and that's when they were doing that walk and talk down the street, she was wearing the sweater, but she had a coat over it. And I think she was wearing sweatpants. It was a little bit like, I think she was just left the hotel, from Aidan's. And I think that this is this is who she is. Yeah. And I think that this is a good representation of what it means to be in your 50s, because that is a difference between being in your 20s and 30s and being in your 50s, which is you hit a place in your life where you're like, I don't want to be uncomfortable.
Right.
I have no tolerance for being uncomfortable.
And I'm not going to...
I hit that in my late 30s, I will tell you, after I had my son.
And then you also have this thing about... you're not dressing to impress anybody. In fact, you don't really want men looking at you. Like, you don't want that kind of attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, that whole thing about women becoming invisible after 50, it's partially like that women decide a little bit to become invisible, coupled with the fact that it's society, people are more interested in youth and that kind of thing. But yeah, she's very much going through a transformation. But yeah, in that walk and talk, I love Miranda saying, "Aren't you going a bit too fast?" And it's like, excuse me, Miranda. Back up.
Yes. Well, but then Miranda admits, right? She admits, I made a huge mistake, which is what everyone, thought she did. And I'm glad they had Miranda, admit that she made this big mistake. But at the same time, I don't know.
She's always going to be skeptical and voice that,
of course,
no matter what.
And she needed to. Someone needed to.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, that harkens back to who these people are and how these characters are and all of that. But I thought that whole conversation and holding herself back and have I been holding myself back and all of that was so interesting.
Yeah.
So should we stay with Carrie and her? Okay.
Sure.
So then, so obviously they can't keep staying in this hotel, even though they're both very wealthy. So they probably could, but they need to find another place to go. So they decide to go to Che's Airbnb,
formerly known as her apartment. Their apartment that they couldn't afford.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then on the weeks, I guess when,
so when Aidan's in town, they stay at Che's, and then Che gets to stay in Carrie's apartment.
Yes,
because she's now sleeping on her grandma's couch. I mean, Che is just
really
working through lunch because she gets paid a time. They get paid. Sorry, a time and a half. It's like
in the podcast, the Writers' Room podcast, I guess they felt like because Che was so cocky the first season that Che really needed to take this huge fall. I've expressed my feelings about Che's managers and agents at this point that I feel like this is really, I just don't feel like this is very realistic, but okay.
Something good's got to happen for her.
Yeah, Che's gonna, I don't know about all this. But anyway, so they go to, they pretend that they're cousins and they go to Che's place, and Che has absolutely nothing there. And we all know that Aidan is, he's very homey. He likes to cook. So they then go to houseware, some kind of sur la table.
Yeah, they're buying all these expensive little kitchen
and they
gadgets.
are just happy.
They're about having a blast.
They're about to do it right there on the sur la table, right there in front of the cheese graters. I mean, they're just so friggin' happy. I can't take it,
Yeah, and there's been no conversations about, is this right? Or, no heavy conversations between them about questioning any of this. They're just going with it.
Well, and one thing we didn't mention before is that Aidan tells her about this farmhouse he has and, this vintage farmhouse in Norfolk, Virginia. And Carrie, of course, looks it up and she's looking at old farmhouses in Norfolk, England. She thinks it's going to be like Howard's End, which is a weird comparison since Howard's End was about a butler. And
I never saw it, so
it's
I have no
little,
idea.
I don't know, it's from the 90s or 80s. It's early 90s. It's a long time ago. It's one of those period pieces from
I've never
very
seen
prestige Oscar winner pieces. You feel very superior watching it, but it was a little boring. So, and he mentions to her in that first conversation about his 3 boys. And he says, I would love for you to meet my boys. And she says, no hesitation. I would love to meet them. And I think he was very surprised by that. And so they're cooking, and Che gets a phone call from one of the neighbors about your cousins, Brad, Bob,
Brad and Janet.
And Che comes over and says, hey, what's going on here? I'm getting calls about you. And Che sees this dynamic between Aidan and Carrie. And of course, the one person that really can ask, what happened between the two of you?
Why didn't you guys work out the first time? Yeah.
And Carrie says, no hesitation, because I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And that was huge. And I think that shows tremendous growth for Carrie.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So was that, oh no. So in the end, so the last scene that, well, there stuff happens in between, but the last scene that Aidan is in is when he has dinner. Well, maybe we should back up with the dinner thing. So remember, Carrie said, we want to take you all out to dinner. So she's texting Seema about, what day's good for you? Can you come to dinner? Seema's ghosting her. And she runs into Seema at the
beauty
hair salon. And Seema tries to act like she doesn't see her. And they have a little confrontation outside in the rain. And Seema says, I don't want to be a third wheel. She's obviously upset that Carrie's now in a couple. And she does not want to go to the Hamptons and have him there every other week.
And Carrie forgot about the Hamptons.
Yeah.
She said, well, she's like, about the Hamptons. And Carrie's like, oh my God, I forgot about the Hamptons. And she said, see, you forgot. So she got the deposit back. She's like, what? Without telling me you got the deposit back? Again, same thing, And I thought finally, we've got some good stuff for Seema to talk about here. Because Seema, it's a very real, true statement, which is, I can do all of this, but I don't want to do this. Again, I think being in her 50s, I think in her 30s, she did all of these things. She did these things to get along, to be a good person, to be a nice person, because she felt like she couldn't stand up for herself or say these things. But I think now in her 50s, she's saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to spend a small fortune to sleep in a crappy room or to have to make nice with this couple. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, and she's just feeling badly a little bit because she says, I've never had a great love. And, you've had 2, Carrie.
Yeah.
It's not really fair. And, I'm sure, a lot of people can feel that. I felt for Seema.
Yeah, it is. And just her stopping Carrie before she said, oh, you're going to have one too, of just like, it's okay. I don't need your validation. I don't need you to tell me that it's going to be okay, because I will be okay if I don't.
Yeah.
It's fine. But I just need some space. And then
cut to the dinner.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say that it was so interesting because obviously they're sort of pulling back to, again, this is growth for Carrie. I think we're seeing a lot of growth here which is obviously Carrie doesn't want to lose Seema the way she lost Samantha. So she's just like, oh no, I don't want to lose you as a friend and space and all of that. But she gives her space.
Yeah.
And then the last scene is Aidan's having dinner with Charlotte and Miranda. It's just the two of them, right?
Yeah,
And Carrie.
And he's just charming everyone with his story about the chicken.
Yes.
Miranda, both Miranda and Charlotte are just beside themselves.
Oh, yes.
They're just eating it up.
Yes. And then Seema shows up. Though I want to go back to this thing I was just going to say. When Carrie says to Che and to Aidan, I made a big mistake. This is, I have to say that in the Writers' Room podcast, Michael Patrick King, he mentioned something about how maybe Aidan thought that he was partially to blame for their breakup. Did you ever think that Aidan thought that he was partially to blame for why they never worked?
I don't think so.
I always thought that was weird.
Why would he? I mean,
I always thought that was. I always thought that it was so clear that the first time they broke up was very clear. She cheated on him, and the second time they broke up was because she did not want to get married, and the undercurrent was the fact that there was always the reason why was that she just wouldn't open up to him, that she couldn't open up to him, and that it was because there was always this undercurrent of the fact that she cheated on him and there was this other person out there that she maybe really loved.
Yeah, I don't see what Aidan ever did wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, he took her back after she cheated, and then he proposed to her.
He stripped her floors for while she cheated on him.
he was gonna, he was building this apartment for them. God, no, I have no idea.
I always thought that was strange. Like, what would Aidan be thinking?
He didn't do
anything. Or I don't know, maybe he went, I don't know. But I mean, it was just, wow. All the people out there that feel like Carrie's so, self-involved and vapid and all these things. Oh, look at her. Carrie's growing,
Carrie's growing. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So very quickly, the other part of Seema's story was that we got to see Seema at work at her big time real estate office. And we see that maybe there's another potential love interest, this sort of self-involved director
Hollywood guy,
who's directing Marvel movies, and he needs a rental for 9 months, and he's very demanding. He's always on the phone, so I don't know. I mean, let's see what happens with this guy.
He didn't look too appealing to me.
I don't know. Let's get someone good for Seema. Come on, let's get someone good. All right. Do you want to go to Miranda, Charlotte? Where are we going?
Well, okay. So Miranda, her big news is she begged the Human Rights Watch to get her internship.
Is that
back.
a real thing? Because that sounded very weird. Is that a real thing? Human Rights Watch?
I think it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because they mentioned on the podcast that they interviewed someone from Human Rights Watch because they wanted to know exactly what would an intern be doing.
Oh, okay.
Or, they wanted to get the details right. Mm-hmm. So she comes in for her first day, and there's two, 25-year-olds who are her fellow interns. And
so this would be an internship after law school or while you're in law school?
I guess either. I mean, you could do a summer internship in law school, or I don't think you need to be a lawyer necessarily to be an intern there.
Really?
Is all they do is litigation for human rights issues?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe we should Google this, get the details right. But I mean, suffice it to say, Miranda's 56, and an internship. These are for people in their 20s. The
other thing is, what money is Miranda living off of? Because as of right now, Miranda has not worked in corporate law for several years. Is Steve's Bar doing well?
Maybe she saved a lot of money when she worked at the law firm.
So apparently she made so much money and she saved so well, but I don't know. That brownstone is a lot of money. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how all these people have so much goddamn money.
I'm trying to look up who we are. Human Rights Watch investigates and reports on abuses happening in all corners of the world. Okay, so they have experts, lawyers, journalists, and others who work to protect the most at risk. So, it's legal and other things.
I would think that these were probably, I feel like this would be an internship for someone who is either, when you're in law school, how could you have that internship? I feel like that might be for someone who's right out of law school, or
I don't know.
But anyway,
these
two women, they're in their mid-20s, very young, very green.
And they're basically telling her that, as an intern, she's going to have to do these grunt work tasks like they're doing. And immediately the woman who's their supervisor wants Miranda to sit in on a big meeting and take notes. And of course, this is a woman with 30 years experience as a lawyer. Of course, right away, she totally impresses them. And so these two young women are pissed. And Miranda, she's trying to fit in, she's trying to be like one of the girls.
Yeah.
And she sits with them to have lunch and they're texting back and forth about her. And then
that's so sad when she's shaking her salad.
Yeah. And then, of course, Miranda's there working late, and apparently they have strict rules about how you have to go home at 6. And she's like, oh, okay.
Because she's used to corporate law.
Right. Where you can spend the night there and work all night if you want to. And the woman says she has to go out on maternity leave early and puts Miranda in charge.
Yeah.
So that's really going to piss off the other interns.
Well, and Miranda's worried. She sees how the other interns now hate her. They liked her in the beginning, but the minute they saw that Miranda was getting all this quote unquote special treatment, Miranda got nervous, and she said, I'm worried about like my privilege. She said privilege, and the director stopped her and said, enough. Like, what privilege are you talking about?
Don't make yourself small.
Yeah, but it's not privilege. You're acting like
you earned this.
Yeah, you're acting like you're at the same level. You're 30 years ahead of these people.
Right.
And there is something about that where, you've earned this. Yeah. So take it. And these girls are just going to be mad. That's just kind of how it is. Yeah. I'm sorry that she just walked through the door, but she's been doing this for 30 years. Yeah. That's just how it is.
Yep. So that'll be fun to see what happens there.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll leave, and that's just how it is. I don't know what to tell you.
So then we have Charlotte, who she's, going back to work at the gallery, and she sits her family down.
God, those kids are just
ungrateful.
But I will say, I do like how Richard Burton comes to the family meetings. My dogs also come to our family meetings, mainly because they're always where we are.
Right on top of you. Yeah.
But the kids are, like, okay. She thought they would be devastated.
Yeah. She's like, I'm not going to be here when you get home from school. And they just start smiling like, oh, great. That'll be fun.
Yes.
She's like, and some nights I might even miss dinner.
Kids are thrilled.
Kids are like, great, Mom, go for it. Live your life. And then she says, Harry, and you're going to have to step up. And he's like, oh, yeah, I said I would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're thrilled. They're going to be ordering pizza and just doing their own thing whatever.
They're going to be fine.
So then she goes, so she wants to be prepared. So she decides to go shopping for just the perfect
first day outfit.
Yes, first day outfit. And
that dress, I feel like she's worn that dress before. Like I've seen it before.
It's a very Charlotte dress.
Yeah, it's a very Charlotte dress. It may be the same dress in a different color or anything, but yeah, it's like the quintessential Charlotte dress.
Yes.
And so LTW's with her at the dress shop, and she tries it on, and it's a little snug in the tummy.
And it's got this little belt, this little pink belt around it, but it won't stay at the tummy area. It keeps riding up because
she has the tiniest of tiny little, bulge. I mean, she's a gorgeous figure, but she really wants this dress to fit a certain way and to look a certain way. Yeah. Even though it looks just fine.
It does look fine. And then there's this nasty sales girl there who's like, really rude to her. Yeah. Then goes off and finds these two black dresses that are like giant tents.
Like muumuus. She says, this says more generously cut to hide your problem areas.
Yeah. Yeah. But her big thing is that she decides I'm I've got to lose weight before this, I want to fit into this dress, so I've got to lose weight. So she decides to eat bone broth for 5 days, for a week. before this thing. And I guess, and there was a show on Bravo called Gallery Girls.
Oh,
which
yes. I loved that show.
Which was all about Ben and Ronnie on Watch What Crappens. They used to do that.
Yeah.
Gallery Girls.
Gal Girls.
But it's all about, right, there's a typical kind of girl, I guess, in New York who's a gallery girl, who is just this kind of super pretty, thin, and I guess they all just wear these black, super trendy outfits, and they're real snotty. And I guess Charlotte had this image of who she wanted to be, you know, who she needed to be. And so she starved herself for 5 days to try to fit into this dress, but she still couldn't because, hello, it's insane for you to do that. But the other problem is that she's a 56-year-old woman, and that the pooch is from having a baby and just menopause. And unlike Erica Jane, who somehow
she has the nerve to say this,
who somehow lost weight from menopause, and I'd love to know why, Erica Jane, you lost weight from menopause.
You're the only woman in the world who's ever lost weight because of menopause.
Yes.
Because she just can't admit that she's on Ozempic or something else.
Or I don't know, maybe she got liposuction, or maybe something else happened. Or maybe she, you know, ate less and exercised.
But if she did, she would just say that. Why wouldn't she just say that?
What, if she worked out?
Yeah, I just like started diet and exercise. I don't know.
Instead of saying menopause.
Yeah. I mean,
well, it just seems like a weird thing to say. Just say diet and exercise then. That's what that's what they used to all say.
She claims she went to the doctor and got her hormones. Her hormones were out of balance because of menopause. And she went to the doctor and, you know, got her hormones back in balance.
Oh, and they gave me this medicine called Ozempic.
Right.
For my hormones.
Right. For my hormones. Okay, lady.
All right. So, so then Charlotte, of course, tries Spanx and all these shapewear. And like, how many did she put on?
Like 3 layers of Spanx.
Like Shannon Bedore.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I refuse.
Yes.
The feeling of Spanx makes me cringe. I do not want like pressure being put on, you know, my stomach. Like it's so uncomfortable. Like your organs and everything get all smushed, and it's just like, I refuse. I'll just let my fat hang out.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
I've
bought over the years. I do like the Spanx because I have like Spanx jeans and I have like a Spanx jumpsuit. I really like those. I like their clothes, and I have some other Spanx things, but I've bought the Spanx like tummy things. I've bought a few things. I will buy them, put them on for about a minute and a half, and be like, I can't take this.
No,
I cannot
it's like
take this.
torture.
The one and only time I ever put on Spanx and like put on a dress, I was like, I'm in hell. I'm in hell.
Yeah.
And I think I went out and I was like, I got to take this off.
I know, it hurts.
Was awful. And they just sit in my drawers, and I don't know how people do it. I even had the Spanx underwear that it's just like typical underwear, and you can just put it on. It kind of flattens your stomach. Even that, it's not even that tightening. It's like semi-tightening. That I was just like, oh, ow. Ugh.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like this. I don't know how anyone does this. I don't know how anyone wears that shapewear. I heard the Skims Kim Kardashian
is like a much softer material.
Oh, maybe I wanted to try that, but I don't know. And then I think, oh God, I spent all this money on this. I don't know. I heard it's good.
It doesn't. Okay, if you're going on a red carpet and you have a body skimming dress where you need underneath to be, you know, smooth and whatever, and your picture's going to be taken. Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
But just to go out in public and, you know, just wear them. I mean, first of all, you're still the size you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I mean, it's not like it gets rid of anything. It just sort of smooths it over. So maybe you don't look so lumpy bumpy, but it's not worth it. Like, just wear something that's flattering, and no one's gonna, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I think it's just part of our whole culture. Like, people think it's going to make them look better. And so even if, whether it does or not. So if they think that, then they're going to wear it.
Well, I come back to the comfort thing, which is, I'm with you, which is if I don't want to buy anything that I'm going to have to wear something with.
Yeah.
My Spanx jumpsuit thing is super comfortable. So
I didn't even know Spanx made jeans.
they do. They make jeans, and they have like you pull them up, and then so it's like it's nice too because it's kind of snug on the top, and it's kind of shaped, kind of sucks you in. But sometimes if you got some fat roll on the top, can get there. But I like them.
Huh, that sounds interesting. I have to check those out.
I like it. So anyway, but Charlotte finally shows up for the first day. And of course she walks in and there's these two, really pretty, thin, gallery girls in their black outfits and kind of snotty. But then she meets the girl that's going to show her around. And she's this bigger girl who is like beautifully showing her belly. And Charlotte's, oh, great, and goes and meets her. And Charlotte takes off those Spanx in the bathroom, puts on the belt, and says, F this.
I liked that. I love that scene. I thought it was great that they showed that girl and how, people come in all shapes and sizes and it doesn't matter. And nobody really cares.
Yeah.
No one's really looking at your stomach, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's, I think the whole thing was kind of is metaphor the right word for it of, do I still fit in? Right? I'm 56, 57
Am
now.
I going to be able to go back into this world?
Am I still a gallery girl?
Yeah.
Am I a gallery woman now?
So see, now gallery girls are,
all sizes.
All sizes.
And, am I that? So I think we talked about everyone else except for Anthony. We covered the Seema stuff. We covered Shay's stuff.
And Naya, no Naya.
Oh, God, no Naya.
Poor Naya.
And LTW is
it's just a passing.
That one moment.
Well,
so,
Anthony, you predicted this. I didn't think this was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
But you predicted that this guy, Giuseppe is going to be his love interest.
Yes,
and lo and behold, here we are.
So Giuseppe is quite the popular person at Hot Fellas.
Yeah.
Someone
who
named
was that woman who kept...
Lorraine. Lorraine is getting bread every day.
I love it. He's like, eat a protein.
So then Anthony and Giuseppe, they have like kind of a ghost, moment with
Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze.
Pottery moment with the bread. And then we learn that Giuseppe is gay because I think Anthony assumed, or I think Charlotte assumed that he was straight. Or I don't know how. I think Anthony assumed he was straight. And then once Anthony learns that he's gay, Anthony's like, well, you're fired. And Giuseppe's like, what? How? You can't fire me. And he's like, well, okay, you're on probation or you're this or you're that. And I think obviously Anthony's very attracted to him. So he hears that he's gay. When he thought he was straight, he was like, well, this is easy, But once he heard he was gay, he was like, this is too much for me. So then Giuseppe says, okay, fine, I'll quit. And then Giuseppe kisses him. And so I think this is his new love interest. And it's very exciting. I thought the best was the phone call between Charlotte and Anthony where
they're not really talking to each other. They're
talking at each other. It's so funny.
Yeah. And then he's like, I got to go. And she's like, okay, thanks for listening. Those two are so cute.
I know. I love their friendship. I love their friendship. I love Richard Burton. I always wanted an English bulldog, but they seem like a big pain. But I love him and I love the two of them. And I want Anthony to find love, and Giuseppe seems, let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
And
just like that.
This was a great episode. It made me very happy.
Yes, I hope this continues.
I'm still very nervous. I'm nervous about...
Yeah, I'm nervous about the Aidan thing because this could go either way.
Yes. I mean, I feel... I understand... If I'm a writer, producer on the show, I understand that they need to...
There's got to be some conflict. I mean, conflict is what moves these stories forward.
And I understand, and this is always this big thing that happens on these TV shows where you have these will they, won't they couples, and they spend seasons and seasons and seasons doing these, plot lines where they will, they, won't they, and they finally get them together, and then something happens where they get torn apart again, and then they finally get them together, and it makes me crazy because some shows, they will make it so hard for them to be together. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate it when shows just allow the couple to be together. Like Jim and Pam. Jim and Pam can be together. Like, let's just let Jim and Pam be, and they did. And it just makes me nuts when they constantly break them up. It's like, would it be the end of the world if, here's my question. Would it be the end of the world if Carrie and Aidan were together,
right? And lived happily ever after.
Well, and we're happy and explored that. Yeah. And what would the show be if it was about these two people? And obviously they can't be in this honeymoon stage forever. But if we did see what happened with the two of them, and they are different people, and exploring all that, and maybe they did have to go back in time and retread some of this stuff that happened between the two of them. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what other people think. I mean, I'm interested in hearing other podcasts and other people talking about the show to see maybe there are some people out there that are like, ugh, I can't believe Aidan's back. I mean, not everyone liked Aidan.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. And there's only like 3 more episodes.
Yeah. 9, 10, 11. Yeah. So we'll see.
And I hate that. Like, just when you starting to get good, and it's like, now we only have 3 episodes.
I know, because I was very much in this state of like, oh God, they're gonna like, maybe HBO Max will like renew this for maybe 1 more year just to make them happy and then go. And now I'm like, oh God, I love this now. Oh, jeez.
It took
20 more episodes.
It took so long to get to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is a very expensive show to make.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
And and the ratings are not what they were in season 1.
But maybe this will help them.
But
I'd be curious to see if this helps.
Yeah, now that it's getting good.
But I didn't get to read the whole review, but Vulture, the woman gave it 2 stars. I'm like, okay, so what's this? I didn't get to read what her issue was with it, but maybe she doesn't like it. But I'm sure this is like a young person that wasn't alive when when Sex and the City first came out. You weren't here the first time around when Aidan was here. You don't know.
You don't know anything about this. Why are you even writing?
All right.
Okay. Well,
that's it.
That's it. We'll see you, hopefully, everybody next week.
Yes. Yes.
Next episode. So, if you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating and review. We would appreciate that. And you can find us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, at PsychLegalPop. We're still doing our Sister Wives Rewind on Tuesdays, and in just 2 weeks,
yes,
the new season of Sister Wives begins. And if you're a Sister Wives fan, please tune in for our recaps. We're going to do them on Sunday when the show comes out.
Yes, we're going to be right there for season 18.
Right on it. And we'll keep doing the rewind shows as well. There's going to be a little bit of overlap with
And Just Like That
and all these shows. But just subscribe, and then whatever we do, it'll just come straight into your phone, and you just listen.
You don't even have to think about it.
No, that's the best way to do it. So thank you so much.
All right.
See you soon.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.